Hello guys and welcome to my last minute cursed realm guide. Now for this cursed realm, it's quite an interesting round and I'll show you why. First I'll show you my formations. As you can see, I ranked in the top 35%, which is usually about where I rank. Let's see what I ranked last time, 27%, so about 30% basically is where I rank. So I'm okay with ranking top 35 for this round. This is a very heavy RNG round I found, but I'll show you the team that worked out the best for me. This is the team. I'll go over my formations and then I will show you guys the guide that I used to build my formations. It's the Cursed Friend guys, but I'll just real quickly give some thoughts on that guide. Now for my teams here, the first team's pretty standard. Nothing too notably here. It's the Awakened Baden team. Again, if you don't have Baden, wait for later in the video where I'll go over the guide. Notably for this team, Mortis needs a Elite Plus chestplate. I won't go into why, but that helps the overall stability of this team a lot. Now, this is actually my best round, but I've seen this team, this exact setup with the same pet and everything, do a lot more damage than this. But due to this round being heavy RNG, I couldn't retry a better Baden team where all my other teams performed to the same level, and I'll go over those as well. So for the second team, this is the Awakened Belinda team, as you can see here, doing almost 5 billion damage. Very impressive for Belinda, I'd say. My previous best, she did 2, but Baden did 7. So as you can see, like some high RNG, and if I could get the 7 plus 7 billion RNG for Baden and then the 5 billion for Belinda, you know, obviously my score would be better. But I'm not willing to just throw diamonds down the drain for an RNG result that I can't really guarantee. I already refreshed twice, and that's about what I'm willing to do. Now, very important for the Belinda round is this. We need to slow it down. For this cursed realm, you get a debuff, the Blade of Regicide, which reduces damage to the hero that did the most damage. And as you can see here, Yennefer has this debuff right now. Oh, I don't know. Well, it's kind of hard to see. I'll just show you guys again real quick. So basically, you want to make sure that Belinda does not get the debuff as the first hero. That's why Yennefer's here to do some burst. As you see, she throws her eyes and she does a lot of burst. And there it is. The sword icon here. Above her head, the sword icon, which indicates that her damage is down, is on her and not Belinda, before Belinda starts popping off. So that means that Belinda can do all her damage before she gets the debuff. It's very important that you make sure Belinda doesn't get the debuff, or this team just completely falls apart and does no damage. So that's something you should be careful of. But again, I'll go over the guide that I based my teams upon, and I can show you how you come to that result. Also, you can use your Lawson instead of Mishka here. For the next team, I use Ein's team here, and as you guys might be able to think, Ein's is not the viable team here. The team that you actually want to place in round 3 is the Taylene Authors team. Now, I'm building Taylene, but I don't have Authors built, so that team just doesn't do enough damage for me. So I'm just cutting my losses, and I'm taking a 1 billion damage round from Ein's, which I'm fine with. It's the best option for my account anyways. But yeah, if you have Taylene and Authors, go for that right here. For the next team, this is the Raku team. Now, again, RNG factor. This team has done a lot more than the 2 billion damage it's doing here. And notably, it does a lot better if you can use Joan of Arc instead of Mortis. For me anyways, because that helps with the survivability and does a lot more damage in this. But however, as I will show you, in the next team, I need Joan of Arc for that team. But yeah, basically, this is a standard Raku team with some healing, and you just hope Raku pops off, which he kind of does. And yeah, you use the Vespero pet. You can also use like the Grassy Orb or the Tufty Ears. But again, I'll go back to the guide. Now, for this team, you may look at this team and you're like, this team does no damage. What's going on? Yeah, you're not wrong. Well, here's where the new pet comes in, doing a whopping 1 billion damage, out-damaging every single hero and all of them combined. Now, I don't know how to feel about this new pet. If this is if this is the direction that Lilith wants to go with pets, where pets just out-damage heroes, I'm not too big of a fan in that. There was also a poll recently where I stressed my concerns about this, because I think this isn't really like this is pretty toxic for the game. Also because if you look at the replay, like you're like, what are you doing with this team? This team is terrible, and I agree. But then you look at the pet, and all of a sudden this team is not bad because you can also use a Brutus variant. Now, for my account, I don't have Brutus built. If you have Brutus built, I'll go over the Brutus variants. Brutus slots into this team. He knocks out either Lucretia or John, freeing up John for the fourth team. But if you have Brutus built, he helps this team out a lot, and you can get a lot more damage here. But again, I did like 1.3, 1.2 billion damage in this team, which is very fine for my hero investment and not having Brutus. But it's pretty much all thanks to this pet. So hey, thanks pet. And for the last team, it's about as standard as it gets. It's the cookie cutter, Gris, Scarlet, or basically just the Scarlet team, right? With whatever strongest intellect pet you had. For me, it's the winged lion. Now, that is my teams. These are my teams that I'm using, right? So if you want my formations, team 1, team 2, team 3, team 4, team 5, team 6. These are my formations, but I would recommend you stick around for the next part of the video, which is happening right now, where I'm going to go over the Cursed Realm guide, which you can find, as you can see here, on the Cursed Friends Discord server. This is usually updated Sunday my time, or about 19 to, well, basically around 19 hours before Cursed Realm ends. They put out this guide, and, well, this guide is worth waiting for. Why? Just look at it. I mean, there's so much effort going into this. So shout out to the Cursed Friends Discord server and the amazing work they do. Pretty much just raising the standard for Cursed Realm and making it a lot more accessible to new players. Because, as you can see here, for every team there's so many variations depending on what you have built, and most importantly for us free-to-play players, depending on what Awakened Heroes you're missing. So for me, I'm missing Awakened Baden, but I merged Baden, so I was able to use him in this round. And this is something, it's not very pointed out in the guide, but it's very important. As you can see here, the merc priority. Basically telling you which heroes should you get if you don't have it. For me, Baden is number 1, and I agree, because that pretty much makes the entire team here. If you don't have Baden, the first round really flops. But if you have Baden, for example, but you don't have Belinda, or if you have both Belinda and Baden, but you don't have Vithil, you just go down the list, right? So for this first team here, as you can see here, Mortis, using elite armor. No need to make this guide like a long essay. Just use elite armor. It's best. All the whales are doing it. You use it. You don't ask questions. These are the variations, and as you can see, if you don't have Awakened Baden, right? No Baden, then you go down to these substitutes where Kren is your carry, right? And as you can see, the different pets. Now for the second team, this is where the as I said in my video, Belinda cannot get the first Regicide debuff. Yennefer needs to tank it, and for Yennefer to tank it, she needs to do more bad damage than Belinda at the start of the battle. So, and it also describes the debuff that looks like a little sword with an arrow down, hovering over heroes' heads for the rest of the battle. So yeah, basically make sure that Yennefer tanks this debuff, and then you're good to go. And as you can see, I highly recommend it. Pull a legendary copy of Belinda if you don't have it. That allows you to merc stronger heroes, and Belinda does fine damage at legendary. Obviously, a bigger Belinda is better. However, it's actually not that big of a deal, and by building out another Awakened hero, you can gain a lot more in Cursed Realm specifically, because in other game modes, Belinda is really good build out, especially in PvP. Treasure Scramble, I should say, and obviously also Nightmare Card. I mean, build Belinda, she's a beast, but she works at legendary as well. And as you can see, well, I don't have Belinda, you can go for a Daemon carry, interestingly enough. You can look for the Irons team, which is pretty much like the cookie cutter. I don't have the best team, so I'm going to use Irons, which leads me perfectly segueing to round 3, where I don't have the best in slot team, so I'm using Irons. As you can see here, the alt 3. I can't use the alt 2 because all these heroes are used in the first team, but alt 3, Irons. If you have these two heroes are the ones that I'm missing. But if you have Authors and if you have Telene, this team does, as you can see here, 3 to 6 billion, depending on investment, with medium to high RNG. Again, my Irons team here does 1 billion. Well, there's no RNG, it just does 1 billion, but I could get a lot of ranking by having these two heroes. So if you have these two heroes, slot them in, have fun, right? Basically. Now for the next, this is the Racker team. Now, as you can see here, here they have the Joan of Arc, possible sub for Mortis. Now, I found great success using Joan of Arc compared to, not Mortis, sorry, Khazard. I think Joan of Arc is better than Khazard. For me, personally, my account and my testing, Joan of Arc is definitely better for Khazard. The problem with Joan of Arc is, see here, she's used here, right? She's used in this team comp, so you can't use her. But if you somehow can, by building these teams down here, freeing up Joan of Arc, you can slot her in here and just try her out in here, because for me, she helped out the damage of the team a lot. But as you can see, even, with fully built heroes, the RNG here going from 1.5 to 7 billion damage, pretty crazy if you ask me. So this would take a lot of retries, and the problem with these RNG, as I said, this was an RNG fest of a round. The problem is that even if you hit the 7 billion here, you would also need to hit, a good Belinda round, which is also RNG dependent, and a good Baden round. So the stars have to align for you to get a good score on this, or you just have to be willing to spend the diamonds. For the last team here, this is where this new pet comes in. As I showed you guys, the pet doing 90% of the damage in this round for my team. Now the team that I was using is this variant down here. Wait a minute, where is it? It's here, because I don't have Brutus. I'm using this, but I'm making sure that I use the new pet, because again, this pet does all the damage in this round. So I think you should always use this pet because it does so much damage. But again, if you have Brutus built, you get access to the best in slot, or the whale best in slots, and these formations are obviously better than the ones that I used. Now for the last team, as you can see, this is a pretty, as I said in the video, standard Scarlet team. There's nothing to talk about here. This is just meta defined, it's just so stable since Scarlet's release. You lose Scresh, you lose Scarlet, you follow Scarlet with Rose, and you just nuke the boss with Scarlet, right? A little bit of RNG if Scarlet kills herself or kills some of her allies, but that's about it. Interestingly, apparently Rem is a Scarlet substitute. Now I don't know where you would use Scarlet other than this comp, but I find it very I'm looking at Rem with great interest as a free-to-play player, because if you remember in the previous Cursed Realm, she was basically this team. She was single-handedly carrying the round 5 of this previous Cursed Realm, replacing Kane as the whale biz and also as the free-to-play. She was just better than Irons and Kane in the previous rounds, and she's a dimensional hero, which means you guys can get her for free, or for free, but with in-game resources, of course. So I am looking at Ren with great interest, and I'm really I'd be really interested to see where she places in the other formations for Cursed Realms in the future rounds, because I think she might just be a new stable for boss rounds and such. But that's about it for the guide. Now, lastly, I just want to tell you guys, you can read it at the top here, where you find this guide every week, Cursed Friends Discord. I'll just quickly hop over to it, and I can see that this is on my second monitor, which I'm not recording. Very professional YouTuber here, just doing this. All right, here we go. Cursed Friends. This is the Discord. As you can see, they have the clocks, but most importantly, they have the pings. So you can get pings, right? I subscribe to the give me pings, basically. So every time they make a new guide, I get a ping here, a notification on this side. I know I'm in a lot of Discord servers, but maybe you aren't. Or maybe you have notifications on your phones, so it'll vibrate and it'll tell you, oh, we have a new Cursed Realm Discord. And then, boom, here's the link to the guide. Here's the guide. And here's the update from last time, right? Very well done. And before I leave Discord, I just, again, every single video I do this, but I just want to shout out the FK Arena crowdsourcing Discord server, because even though I think that the Cursed Friends Discord is the best Cursed Realm Discord there is for guides, like in here, oh thank God there weren't, that could have been gone very wrong, just blindly opening up a Discord chat, but in here, you know, they also have a chat for Cursed Realm, right? Where you can ask questions and look at other people's formation. As you can see, look at the amount of formations here. And even so, look at the guides for like the different formations. Here's a Chinese guide. As I always say, Chinese guides are crazy good. But now I think I'm starting to ramble, so I'll end the video here. I showed you my formations in the game. I showed you the Cursed Friends Discord guide. And basically, my recommendation for all players is every single time there's a Cursed Realm round, you look at this guide. This guide will tell you what you need. And if you're a completely new player, well, maybe you haven't even unlocked the Cursed Realm, but even here, like, some of these are so cheap alternatives, right? And even so, like, I wouldn't worry too much about this. If anything, it's help to see what heroes I should be building, right? For example, as a new player, maybe you're like, I just pulled Odin, is he good? Well, you pull up here and you can see, well, Odin is in every single formation in this round, meaning he's meta viable. So I think this guide has use at all stages of your account, and generally this video is now officially too long, and I'm starting to ramble, so I'll leave you guys now. Good luck in Cursed Realm.